Hello everyone, my name is Aparna and I have secured All India rank 62 in this year's civil service examination. And I would like to take this opportunity to share some of my strategies with you. To say a little bit about myself, I have done my schooling from multiple places. My father has been a banker, so I have travelled and studied around in Mumbai, Bangalore, Trivandrum and Kochi before I did my graduation in economics honours from Hindu College, Delhi University, and my post-graduation from Delhi School of Economics. After that, I got a campus placement and I worked as a data scientist in Bangalore in a company called Brilio for 3 years, during the course of which I attempted UPSC twice, but unfortunately I could not even get through prelims. After that, around January 2020, I decided that I had to give one sincere attempt at least at this exam, and I decided to resign my job. And since January 2020, I had been preparing full-time for UPSC. And fortunately, it has paid off, and I have secured a rank which hopefully can get me into the Indian Administrative Service, which is my first choice. Now, before I share my strategy, I would like to give a disclaimer that everybody's UPSC journey is different, and what might work for one person need not work for somebody else. And having said this, I just hope that some of these strategies can be comparable to at least a few of the aspirants out there and can help you in one way or the other. I'll start with my prelim strategy. So prelims has always been my weakest link in UPSC. Having failed twice, I think I do understand the reasons why I failed, because there were totally different reasons during the two attempts that I had for which I failed. In my first attempt, I would say it was not a very sincere attempt. I wanted to take a shot at the exam and understand a flavor of what really UPSC entails. And I quickly realized that it is not an exam which anybody could clear with hearsay or with flippant studies of the syllabus. It really required dedicated preparation, which I unfortunately could not put in given my very haphazard work hours in the consulting industry. In my second attempt, I would say I prepared a little better. I read all the right books. I gave a lot of mock tests. I think the issue that happened was twofold. One, I did not have any particular strategy while I was attempting my papers. I was in the habit of attempting all the 100 questions, and I used to get decent marks. And what happened during the actual exam was that one, the exam was significantly difficult than what I had seen in my mocks. And I was really thrown because I had never experimented with attempting less than 100 questions. And as a result, I attempted only 70 questions. That was my second mistake. It was for me to understand that I was getting a good score during my mocks because my accuracy was very bad. So this is an evaluation that every aspirant has to do by himself or herself, understanding where your accuracy stands. If you're somebody who is likely to get more hits with less attempts, please by all means go for that. But if you are an average aspirant, just like I was, I would say that your accuracy is likely to be on the lower end. And the only way to really overcome this is try and attempt more questions. This does not mean that we have to blindly attempt more questions. There are certain elimination tricks and tactics which can be learned during using the resources that are available on the internet. For this end, I would say there are a lot of free resources available from IAS Baba. There was a 60 days program. I Learn IAS also had a prelims aid program that really helped me in focusing my strategy on elimination. So all these were really useful for me in bridging my weak links and ensuring that I did not fail again because of my poor attempting strategy, so to speak. Regarding the syllabus for prelims, there is a it's not a very elaborate syllabus, but we get a clear idea about what really to study if we analyze the previous year questions. So I would say that should be our first step. Start with the previous year questions, understand the pattern of questions, which I think institutes like iLearn really do very well. I would advise aspirants to follow their videos to get a grasp of these things. The second step would be to really understand how to read the newspaper, because I used to be in the habit of reading a lot of unnecessary facts which are not really useful from a prelim standpoint. Please avoid that, and I would say the syllabus and the previous year questions are a good guide towards this end. And last but not the least, regarding CSAT, that is often a paper that a lot of aspirants ignore, but unfortunately UPSC has also gotten into the habit of making CSAT paper difficult these days. And personally, I would say CSAT was not a paper I faced a lot of challenge with, but the reason for that is, I would say, because I did not bank a lot on English or reading comprehension to get me through the paper. So that is an advice I would like to give all aspirants. If quant is your weak area, I would say it's an easier problem to solve. I would advise everybody to please create a strategy wherein you can solve a minimum number of questions in the first hour from the quant section, which can easily help you clear the cutoff. Now moving on to my main strategy, the gap between prelims and mains is usually very less, and it would not be really possible to cover the entirety of the main syllabus in those couple of months. So the preparation for prelims actually should combine with the preparation for mains. And the different thing that we should do here is we should create some value added material for enhancing our answers. And also the second thing that we have to do is answer writing practice. So here I would say one smart strategy is to integrate our prelims and mains preparation. And what I used to do was, I used to have a test book where I used to write all my mistakes that I made during my mocks, my prelims mocks, and I segregated them into subjects. So every time I picked up a paper to study, be it GS1, GS2, GS3 for mains, I would go back, look at this notebook and use these factoids to actually enrich my content for my mains answers. Another thing that I did was, I thoroughly researched the main syllabus. Mains is one area where there's a very well-defined syllabus. So I went word by word. I made sure that I had some content to write about in each of those subtopics. And lastly, one area that I really had to work on for mains was my time management, because it's really a huge task to actually get through the physical effort of writing 60 pages in 3 hours and continuously for 3 days for mains. And that is a habit that we should cultivate close to the mains exam. I would advise all candidates to at least go through this continuous experience at least once. Sit through 3 days of writing, understand your pace, how are your thoughts changing with every answer, are you writing sub-quality answers towards the end. So depending on all these discoveries, I would advise everybody to streamline their strategy for attempting mains. Now coming to my personality test. Personality test, I believe, would be a very interesting phase for every candidate who is appearing for civil services, because there's a lot of introspection involved. And it really lives true to its name, that it's not an interview, it is a personality test. And even my interview felt more like a very intelligent conversation with my professors, for instance. It did not even feel like an interview. It was a very cordial experience. And here I would say a couple of things are controllable. For example, we prepare a detailed application form before we appear for the interview. And there are a lot of hints that we give the interview board about our personal lives. So these are areas that every candidate should prepare on, because it looks really bad if we've mentioned something in the DAF and we don't have anything to say about it. Do not lie on your DAF. That is also a mistake that a lot of candidates make. If you've written something, make sure that you have researched everything in and around that topic. And even beyond that, beyond the DAF, there are definitely questions that we can expect, because the board can literally ask anything. They can ask anything regarding current affairs, anything regarding your perspectives on abstract concepts. So there I would say our presence of mind is something that would really help us get through the interview. So here, of course, this is not something that we can develop overnight. And one thing that really helped me here was giving multiple mocks. Mock interviews do help. Sometimes the feedback is a little harsh, but I would say that take everything in your stride. Take in all the positive aspects and work on your negative aspects. Do not overthink about if somebody is really overcritical about some aspect of your personality that you cannot change in, let's say, a couple of months. But beyond that, I would say all those idiosyncrasies that can be controlled are things that we should work on. So personally, I would say the entire strategy towards the personality test should be to control our idiosyncrasies to an extent that we are our natural self when we sit in front of the board. So a lot of people have, for example, apprehensions about the English that they speak or the way they move their hands. So these are all things that probably somebody cannot get rid of overnight, but at the same time, it should not affect our confidence on the day of the interview. So we should learn to control them to an extent that they do not interfere with our real personality when we face the board. So here again, mock interviews will definitely help us. And additionally, we can also prepare a repository of possible questions, which a lot of IAS institutes actually, coaching institutes actually generously give us. And a good mentor is also very necessary in helping us actually break down all the smaller elements in our DAF. So once we create this repository, we can confidently give our mocks also. And I would say our last mock should be something that should be a very pleasant experience. We should not walk into the actual interview with a very bad taste in our mouth, for instance, so to speak. So please ensure that your last mock is not very close to the actual interview. And also, it is not a very unfriendly experience. If you do have an experience like that, I would say that take another mock till you are at your personal best during the day of the interview. This is what I have to say about my journey. I hope that at least some of these aspects will resonate with a few candidates out there. And I would also like to thank iLearn IAS for this opportunity to talk about myself and to share this journey with you all. And Prelims is upcoming very soon. And I would just like to say that UPSC is not a very difficult exam. It's just a very specific exam, which a lot of people misunderstand. It is not an exam where anything under the sun can be asked. There's a very well-defined syllabus which has very concrete contours. I would say stick to that, understand the demand of the exam, and if you do that, this is an exam anybody can crack. There's no need to feel disheartened. All we need to do is find a good support system, a good family environment, a good peer group where you can actually share your concerns and study together. If we have that, I think anybody can successfully get through this exam. So I wish everybody all the very best. And I would like to thank iLearn IAS again for this opportunity. Thank you.